Good evening. Welcome to the 588th Planning Commission meeting, and this is Tuesday, January the 11th, 2022. It is now 6 p.m., and this meeting is being held virtually through Zoom. I ask that everyone on the call keep their mics muted unless speaking, and state your name every time you speak. The first time you speak, state your name and address for the record. Commissioners, you will need to state your name before you make a motion. The agenda and application materials can be found online at cityoflaurel.org, and were available through requests with staff. We thank you for your patience and apologize for any potential miscues tonight. If technical difficulties arise, we will suspend the meeting while staff attempts to solve the issues. If unable to solve the issues in a timely manner, the meeting shall be postponed. First item on the agenda is roll call. Ms. Quillen, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sidnor.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Kish.
Here.
Mr. Welford.
Here.
Ms. Bonner.
Here.
Chairwoman Bettman. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item is approval of minutes from the December 14th, 2021 meeting. Does anybody have any changes to the minute? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, Bill Welford, I'll move to approve the minutes from the December 14th, 2021 meeting as received.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Ms. Quillen, please call the roll.
Mr. Welford.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Bonner.
Yes.
Mr. Kish.
Yes.
Motion carried. I do want to note that the alternate, Dennis Grant, is also on tonight. He will be voting in favor of Chairwoman Bettman.
Thank you, Ms. Quillen. The next agenda item is the amended site and landscape application and resolution number 21-11 PC for Chido's Tex-Mex Grill at 14600 Laurel Place, filed by Brunson Designs. Mr. Burrow, please read the staff report.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and fellow board members. This is Monte Burrows, Planner 2. Amended site and landscape plan application was filed on November 19, 2021 by Brunson Design, better known as Lynette Brunson, to enclose an existing outdoor seating area and construct a new patio deck adjacent to a new enclosed outdoor seating area. The construction will be located on the right side of the existing building. The intent of the proposed construction is to create a new dining area and provide a new outdoor seating area to accommodate more customers. The intent of the proposed construction is also to create a naturally lit area and provide additional enclosed seating to accommodate customers located at 14600 Laurel Place, Laurel, Maryland, 20707. Under date of December 7, 2021, a cover letter and a building plans asking for comments were sent to state and local agencies and a memorandum to the City of Laurel Department. Comments from the local, state agency, and city Laurel departments are stated in the staff report. On December 29, 2021, a letter explaining the nature of the application and advising of the scheduled public hearing before the City of Laurel Planning Commission was sent by standard mail to all contingency property owners. All return receipts were received. The file contains an affidavit signed by the applicant attesting that a zoning sign has been placed on the subject property has remained and shall remain until the decision is reached by the Planning Commission. It is recommended that the City of Laurel Planning Commission approve the amended site and landscape plan for 14600 Laurel Place, Laurel, Maryland, with the following conditions. The applicant shall obtain all required City of Laurel permits. The applicant should comply with all applicable local, state, and federal laws and regulations in the development of the property. That concludes the reading of the file, Mr. Chair, and I believe the applicants are on the line for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burrows. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the staff?
No.
Well, if there's no, how about if there's no questions from the commissioners, would the applicant like to say anything?
No, not at this time. Everything that Monte has expressed is what our intent is.
Okay, it is now 6:06, and I open the public meeting. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this application? Okay, if there's no questions, I will close the public meeting, and the time is 6:08 according to my timepiece here. Are there any further questions or comments from the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. This is Rick Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
I'd like to
This is
make a
Ms.
motion.
Bonner. Okay.
I'd like to make a
Yeah,
motion to approve the amended site and landscape plan for 14600 Laurel Place, Laurel, Maryland, 20707, including the technical staff report. And I'd also like to give my appreciation to the city staff and to our business community for doing so much to keep restaurants going here in town. We've seen multiple site and landscape plan changes as our restaurant community adapts to the pandemic. So I applaud them for that. And that's my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Do I have a second?
This is Ms. Bonner. I'd like to second that.
Thank you, Ms. Bonner. Ms. Quillen, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Wilson,
Yes,
Ms. Bonner?
Yes.
Mr. Welford,
Yes.
Dennis Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Kish.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Next item is the MXT final plan application number 923 and resolution number 22-02-PC for Starbucks at 14940 Silver Trail Lane, filed by Westside Land Holdings, LLC. Mr. Love, could you read the staff report, please?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. The applicant, Westside Holdings LLC, is seeking a detailed MXT site plan approval for Westside Commercial Lot 4 to construct a 4,800 square foot commercial building that includes a Starbucks restaurant with a drive-through and a 4-lease retail space. The site is part of the larger development known as Westside. The Starbucks restaurant with a drive-through will encompass 2,496 square feet, while the retail space will cover 2,304 square feet. The site will include a total of 36 parking spaces that include 21 standard, 13 compact, and 2 ADA spaces. The rear of the building will be screened from the adjoining residential townhomes by site-type fencing and landscaping. The site-type fencing will be 6 feet in height with landscaping installed between the fence and the shared access drive, which runs along the north side of lots 3 and 4. The site will have a green area of 34%, which includes various shade trees and shrubs. Staff recommends that the City of Laurel Planning Commission approve the detailed MXT site plan for Westside Shops Lot 4, application number 923 with the following conditions. 1, all construction shall conform to ordinance number 1940 as well as the detailed MXT site landscape plan as approved by the City of Laurel Planning Commission. 2, the applicant must obtain all required City of Laurel permits. 3, the applicant shall comply with all applicable local, state, and federal laws and regulations in the development of the property. 4, a traffic signal must be installed at the intersection of Westside Boulevard, Van Dusen Road, and Anderson Way. The signal installation must be completed and the signal must be operational prior to the issuance of a use and occupancy permit for the site. 5, the approval of the detailed MXT site plan application number 923 is contingent upon the approval of special exception application number 921 by the Board of Appeals. That concludes my report, and the applicant would like to say a few words if they could prior to being heard by the commissioner. So I'd like to hand it off to Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, and thank you, Mr. Love, for your presentation. My name is Edward Gibbs. I am an attorney. I represent the applicant in this case. And let me just say, this is the applicant is in fact Westside Holdings LLC, but that entity is controlled by Strip Matter Land LLC, who you've seen here many times before with regard to applications pending on the Westside project. Mr. Rob Strip Matter, who is a founding member of Strip Matter Land LLC, and the managing member is with us this evening, as is Blake Esherick, who really is involved in day-to-day decisions relative to land development at Westside and also with regard to these applications. As many of you will recall and are aware, Westside has a long history with the City of Laurel. We came in and were annexed into the city many years ago. It was the fall of 2012. And, the property is about 60 acres in size totally. We went through the MXT processes, which included the approval of a conceptual site plan, preliminary subdivision plan, detailed site plans, and final record plats of subdivision. And pursuant to those plan approvals, the Duval at Westside multifamily building was constructed, as was the towns at Westside, the 56 townhouse units constructed by NBR, all of which are sold and occupied by residents of Westside. So those two portions of the project were complete. Back in the day, we had anticipated that the commercial component was going to be quite large, up to 200,000 square feet. And my client worked diligently and tirelessly, actually, with a proposed development partner called Roadside Development, who he brought in to help and assist with the commercial development. They spent 5 years looking for a grocery store anchor to help them move forward with a major retail component at this project. And it just wasn't happening. The grocery store operators, the majors, the giant Safeway, Harris Teeter, Wegmans, everyone you can think of in the marketplace. They all like the site. They love the area. They just found there were not enough residential rooftops to justify a major grocery store. And so ultimately, we decided in 2019 that we needed to sort of rethink the retail component. And so we came in 2019 in September, actually, and both the Planning Commission and the council, mayor and council, were involved in revising the conceptual site plan. And so we we took a more modest approach to the size of the commercial retail component, and we said that it would not exceed 40,000 square feet. And then with the excess land area that we had, we went ahead and sought and received approval for an additional 81 townhomes. So after we amended the conceptual site plan, we came back in, we did another preliminary subdivision plan for the 81 townhouse lots, and the commercial component became 4 lots. And the 4 commercial lots are out fronting on Van Dusen and Westside. So they're most removed from the Duval multifamily and from the existing 56 townhomes inside of Westside. So we went through, we tested adequacy of transportation facilities under the new program of development. We satisfied adequate public facilities in 2019 for a commercial component of this nature and the 81 townhomes. We then went and did a detailed site plan afterwards for the 81 townhomes and for lot 3 in the commercial component, which is a standalone 10,000 square foot inline retail building. So all those have been approved. We actually went to record plat and recorded the lots. We are finally and very happily at a point where we have 2 tenants who have signed leases, and we are ready to move forward, hopefully to get these detailed site plans and special exceptions approved so that we can start construction as quickly as possible. The first case, which is before you and which Mr. Love just explained, is the detailed site plan for the Starbucks restaurant. So the Starbucks restaurant is going to be situated on lot 4, which is 2.1 acres in size, and it's right abutting. There it is. Yeah. So looking at the drawing that Mr. Love has just put up, immediately to the left is lot 2, which is the other lot you're going to look at this evening, and then immediately to the left or the south of that is Van Dusen Road. So this is out on the Van Dusen Road, Westside Boulevard corner. So we will come in off of Westside Boulevard or through a right-in only turn that has been approved by State Highway Administration to come into the commercial component directly off of Van Dusen Road. So the MXT zone requires a detailed site plan be approved. As you can look at this site plan and see that there is a private road that runs from Westside Boulevard through the 4 commercial lots. So as it goes up, lot 4 is the first lot on the right-hand side. Lot 3 is the second lot as you go up. And then on the left is lot 4, which is the site of the proposed Wawa. And lot 1 is the next lot up on the left-hand side, and that is not yet spoken for. So we're very excited to be here. We have 4 witnesses who are available to testify. I would call them if there are any concerns raised in any testimony. I would simply say that we have met. We had 2 meetings last week, 45 minutes each with the Duval multifamily residents. And we had a single meeting that went longer with the 55 townhouse residents. And some of them, I think, are here this evening from both. Our impression was that there was general satisfaction. People were very excited about the Starbucks coming, excited about the prospect of what the Wawa can offer in terms of food offerings and gas. But with that being said, we've reviewed the staff report. We agree with the conditions and the analysis, and I'll be happy to answer any more questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Before we go any further, please let me make a note that the public hearing was opened at 12 minutes after 6. Now I'll go on. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on this application? If there are no other further questions or comments from the, hello? Does somebody wish to speak?
Mr. Kish, this is a council member sitting on. Can I ask Mr. Gibbs a question?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gibbs, you say you have two tenants. I know one of the tenants is Starbucks. Is the other tenant Wawa?
Mr. Gibbs, you're muted.
Yeah. Good morning, Councilman, or good evening, Councilman Sidner. Nice to see you here. Yes, sir. The other tenant for Lot 4 is Wawa.
Thank you, sir. No further questions, Commissioner.
Any other question? If there's no other questions or nobody wishes to speak on this application, it is now 21 minutes after 6. I'm going to close the public hearing.
Hello,
And I
hi.
will-
Sorry, my name is Deborah. I do have as a resident of the public, can I ask questions or can I only provide public comment?
No, you can ask questions.
Okay. I guess my question is, and I don't know how much information they might have because we don't know who the other two lots are going to go to, but is there any possibility? So I live in the apartments next to this lot, so I'm directly like across from them. So I guess my question is, will the other two lots be occupied by the remaining townhomes, or are those other two lots expected to be retailers instead?
I'm sorry, can you note your address, please, for the record?
Yes, I live at 14200 apartment 201, Laurel, Maryland.
Street address?
Sorry, 14200 Westside Boulevard. My apologies.
Thank you.
I'll be happy to answer the question, Mr. Chairman, if you wish.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, ma'am. Edward Gibbs again, the attorney for the applicant in this case. All 4 of the lots have been approved for commercial development. So they were approved in the conceptual site plan revision in 2019, the preliminary plan that followed, and then the detailed site plan. We simply, that one of those 4 lots, ma'am, is already had a detailed site plan approved for a building of 10,000 square feet that will have inline tenants, retail tenants, commercial. And my client is in negotiation with a number of potential tenants right now. He is prohibited from identifying who they are by non-disclosure agreements, which are part of the negotiations. But he's actively negotiating for those spaces right now. The last lot up on the corner, lot 1, which abuts Van Dusen Road, we do not have a user for that lot yet. We're actively in the marketplace looking. We had originally, when we came in and we were doing the conceptual site plan revision, we had originally hoped that we might have a pharmacy out there, but that has not proven to be a fruitful avenue at this point. So, but all 4 lots will, as approved and as targeted in the approvals, be allocated for commercial development.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm also just want to say, one thing I was worried about was the traffic. So to know that there's going to be what's this thing called? I'm sorry, a traffic, or they're going to install something from to make sure that the traffic is like regulated is really helpful to know. I will also say, like, I like living in this area, in the space that we're in is very tight, and I know that there's not a lot of green space. I know that there are other green spaces in Laurel. I guess my other question is, like, how much do you anticipate, because the other 4 lots are going to be commercial lots, I don't anticipate that any of them will like be a park or a playground, but as someone who also has like a young child, I think that would be really, that could, that's something that I would love to see, but I don't know, I don't see that happening here. But I guess in the midst of the 4 lots, do you anticipate there are going to be like additional trails or like benches for people to sit, or just anything like that to make it a little more like family friendly for neighbors or for residents that live around here?
Well, the one thing that I can say is that, first of all, there are additional green spaces that are going to be constructed as part of the development of the 81 townhomes that are behind that will be behind the 4 lots. So as you're looking out, if you live in the Duval building, as you look out to see that large graded but undeveloped parcel of land, immediately on the other side of the circle at Westside Boulevard, there is going to be an 81 lot townhouse community. And that townhouse community is under contract to be built by NVR. The exact same.
I forgot the ice.
The exact same builder who built the 56 townhomes that are already constructed. So that contract of sale has been signed, and there is grading underway on that portion of the project right now. So when you look across, you're going to see residential townhomes. Within that townhome component, there are going to be green areas. There's going to be a pavilion. There's a dog park. So you're not just going to look right over and see the commercial component.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And then, do you know when those townhomes are slated to begin construction?
Well, I would ask if Mr. Esherick can respond to that question. I think I know the date; it's imminent, but I'd rather have him do it because he knows for sure.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Blake Esherick, representing Strip Matter Land and Westside Land Holdings. The townhouse construction, vertical construction for the townhouses, we expect to start in the late spring of 2022, with completion of all the townhouses to take about 2 years.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Thank everybody who spoke. Is there any other comments for the commission or questions?
For Mr. Esterick, the residential units, will those all be townhouses or will it be a mixture of apartments and townhouses?
All of the 81 townhouse will be townhouses, and they'll be similar, if not identical, to the 56 townhouses that are already built.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir. Could you state your name and address, please, for the record? Thank you.
Yes, my name is Charles Wilson. I'm at 14200 Westside Boulevard.
Thank you, sir.
There are also a number of questions in the chat box as well.
Brooke, how do I proceed with the questions in the chat box? Do I turn those over to somebody or?
Mr. Kish, we will go ahead. We'll write down the questions and we'll go back with the people asking them.
You're going to do that tonight on
I'm gonna,
this meeting?
Yeah, I'll take them down now. And if the people who provided questions could also leave an email address, we'll be sure to answer those back for you.
Okay, thank you. Please note that in the minutes, Brooke, that all questions on this project will be answered by email if there's email address to send them to.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you. Any other questions on this item? I'd like to entertain a motion for this. Ms. Quillen, could you please call the roll?
Well,
No, I need a motion first.
Mr. Chairman, it's Rick Wilson. I'll make a motion to approve the detailed MXT final plan application number 923 with the accompanying resolution number 22-02-PC for Starbucks at 14940 Silver Trail Lane as filed by Westside Land Holdings LLC.
Are we able to do these both at the same time? Mr. Love?
Actually, we'll have to do them separately just because of the one component needs to go before the Board of Appeals. So we are going to have to split each of these up.
Okay, and then, well, that's my first motion, Mr. Kesh.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Do I have a second motion?
Bill Welford, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Welford. Ms. Quillen, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Welford,
Yes.
Ms. Bonner,
Yes.
Mr. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Kish.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next on the agenda is the recommendation of approval for a special exception application number 921 for Starbucks at 14940 Silver Trail Lane, filed by Westside Land Holdings LLC. Mr. Love, could you report, please?
Sure. Good evening once again, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. The applicant Westside Holdings LLC is seeking a special exception approval to construct and operate a Starbucks restaurant with a drive-in. The site is part of the larger development known as Westside. The Starbucks restaurant with a drive-through will encompass 2,496 square feet of the building. Facing the building, vehicles will enter the drive-through on the right side of the building. They will order at the menu board at the rear of the building, and the drive-through window will be located on the left side of the building. The required 25 parking spaces for the restaurant will be met by the site. Staff recommends that the City of Laurel Planning Commission recommend approval to the City of Laurel Board of Appeals for Special Exception 921 with the following conditions. 1, the applicant must obtain all required City of Laurel permits. 2, the applicant shall comply with all applicable local, state, and federal regulations in the development of the property. And 3, a traffic signal must be installed at the intersection of Westside Boulevard, Van Dusen Road, and Anderson Way. Signal installation must be completed and the signal must be operational prior to the issuance of a use and occupancy permit for the site. The applicant is on the call to answer any questions. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Edward Gibbs, once again, on behalf of the applicant and the property owner. And this is really the same case. It only requires a special exception because of the drive-through component. But everything else is, I mean, the project is identical, and I'm happy to answer any questions, as are my witnesses.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, sir.
Do the commissioners have any questions for the staff on this special exception? Is there any, there's no public hearing on this, but is there anyone else to speak on this application? If there's no other questions, I'd like to get a motion.
Mr. Chairman, Bill Welford, I'll make a motion to approve the special exception application number 921 for Starbucks at 14940 Silver Trail Lane, filed by Westside Land Holdings, LLC, to include the recommendations from the city, and move to a recommendation to the Board of Appeals.
Mr. Chairman, it's Rick Wilson. I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Welford and Mr. Wilson. Ms. Quillen, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Welford,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Bonner,
Yes.
Mr. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Kish.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next on the agenda is MXT final plan application number 923 and resolution number 22-01-PC for Wawa at 14910 Silver Trail Lane, filed by Westside Land Holdings, LLC. Mr. Love, would you please read the staff report?
Actually, Mr. Josh Mitchum will be reading that for the staff.
Thank you for reminding me. Mr. Mitchum?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and fellow commission members. My name is Joshua Mitchum, ECD staff, and I'll be giving the report. The applicant, Westside Holdings LLC, is seeking detailed MXD site plan approval for Westside Commercial Lot 2 to construct a 5,600 square foot commercial building that includes a Wawa gas station complex. The site is again part of a larger development known as Westside, and the current zoning of the property is mixed use transportation oriented, or MXD. The property was annexed into the city in July of 2012. A comprehensive traffic study was conducted by the applicant and submitted with the application. The study concluded that based on the prior approvals of the project, the Wawa gas station complex will not have any negative impacts on traffic access or circulation of the site. A traffic signal, which has been approved by Maryland State Highway Administration, is to be placed at the intersection of Van Dusen Road and Westside Boulevard / Anderson Way. Furthermore, the SHA has also approved a right turn only lane into the site. A total of 52 parking spaces are provided in the application, and a gas station complex use is required to have at least 35 parking spaces per the Unified Land Development Code. The parking breakdown is as followed. There will be 35 standard parking spaces, 14 compact parking spaces, 1 ADA, and 2 van accessible parking spaces. A comprehensive landscaping plan has also been submitted with the application. 29% of the site is proposed to be landscaped per the applicant, using a mixture of shade trees and substitutions for shrubbery. The staff recommends that the City of Laurel Planning Commission approve detailed MXD site plan for Westside Shops Lot 2, application number 922, with the following conditions. Number 1, the applicant shall obtain all required City of Laurel permits from the Department of Fire Marshal and Permit Services. Number 2, the applicant shall comply with the comments from the PG County Health Department as stated in the technical staff report. The applicant shall comply with the comments from the City of Laurel Department of Public Works as stated in the technical staff report. Number 4, a traffic signal must be installed at the intersection of Westside Boulevard, Van Dusen Road, and Anderson Way. Signal installation must be completed, and the applicant must be, and the signal must be operational prior to the issuance of a City of Laurel use and occupancy permit for the site. Number 5, approval of detailed MXT site plan application number 922 is contingent upon approval of special exception application number 920 by the Board of Appeals. And lastly, number 6, the applicant shall comply with all applicable local, state, and federal laws and regulations in the development of the property. That concludes the reading of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchum. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the staff on this project? If there's no questions at this time, I will have a public hearing. It is now 6:38 p.m. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on this application?
Mr. Chairman, Edward Gibbs again on behalf of the applicant and owner. I really don't need to go through the history of the project as I did on the Starbucks case. I would simply note that the Wawa is proposed to go on Lot 2, which is directly at the corner of Westside Boulevard and Van Dusen Road. We have an access coming in off of Westside Boulevard, and it's shown in the lower right-hand corner of the site plan that's on the screen right now. It comes in at an angle so that it can connect to the private road that traverses the 4-lot commercial development. You can also see at the top left corner the right-in only turning movement that the State Highway Administration has approved. So This station has been strategically located on site, so that motorists will have an opportunity, an easy opportunity to get into and get out of the facility. So they can come in either off of Van Dusen Road, or they can come in via the very first median break on Westside Boulevard, just down from the intersection of Van Dusen Road, which of course, prior to the issuance of a use and occupancy permit for either the Starbucks or the Wawa, we will be required to have the traffic signal at the intersection of Van Dusen and Westside Boulevard, which has also been approved by the State Highway Administration, fully installed and operational prior to the use and occupancy permit. So we did a very exhaustive traffic impact study when we did the preliminary subdivision plan that created these 4 commercial lots. And our traffic consultant, Lenhart Traffic Consulting, did an update with regard to the traffic signal and the right-in only, and the gas station. And the findings are very clear that traffic is going to continue to operate and meet all adequate levels of service. Circulation and access will be safe. And the development of this site should not create any backups that are of concern at the intersection of Van Dusen Road and Westside Boulevard, especially given the right-in and especially given the existence of the traffic signal. We've taken pains to make sure that this overall development of the commercial component has a substantial amount of parking. So that we can be certain that parking is not going to cause any cars to spill out into the residential community, forming the balance of the West Side development. We submitted an extensive package of information with this case, a justification statement that addresses every one of the ordinance criteria, the traffic study and the update. The Lenhart Traffic Consulting update is part of the record, as is an extensive needs analysis demonstrating that there is a substantial unmet demand for gasoline sales in this part of the city. So with that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Mr. Gibbs. Do we have any other questions or comments for the commission?
Mr. Kish, it's Rick Wilson.
Yes, sir.
This question's for Mr. Love. I noticed, and I applaud the Tesla charging stations at this Wawa. I was curious, there was no EV charging at the other Wawa that's on the other side of town. Is this something, we probably need to encourage this? Do we have any regulations regarding the EV charging?
We don't right now, but actually that other Wawa is installing chargers also.
Oh, okay, great.
So they've installed chargers in this Wawa, and then we've had other gas stations that have done it. We have our new environmental coordinator is really reaching out to a lot of these businesses and apartments and various places to encourage the installation of charging stations.
Thank you, Mr. Love. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Kish.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Any other questions on this application? If none, I will close the hearing at 6:44. And can I get a motion on this application, please?
Mr. Kish, it's Rick Wilson. I will make a motion to approve the detailed MXT final plan application number 922 with the accompanying resolution number 22-01-PC Wawa for 14910 Silver Trail Lane, filed by Westside Land Holdings LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Same question as the last time. Can we do both these at the same time?
Once again, Mr. Chair, we will have to split them up due to the nature of the approvals.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wanted to make sure. Is that good for you, Mr. Wilson?
Sure, we have a motion, need a second.
I need a second vote.
This is Christiana Bonner. I will second that.
Thank you, Ms. Bonner. Ms. Quillen, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Wilson,
Yes, please.
Ms. Bonner, Mr. Welford,
Yes.
Mr. Grant, Mr. Grant. Might have lost him. Mr. Kish,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you, Ms. Quillen. Okay. Next on the agenda is the recommendation of approval of a special exception application number 920 for Wawa at 14910 Silver Trail Lane, filed by Westside Land Holdings LLC. Mr. Love?
Once again, I will pass it off to Mr. Mitchum.
Sorry about that, Mr. Mitchell.
That's fine. Good evening, Mr. Chair and fellow commissioners again. My name is Joshua Mitchum, and I'll be giving the report for the special exception. The applicant, Westside Holdings LLC, is seeking a special exception approval to construct and operate a Wawa gas station complex. The use is again part of the larger development known as Westside. Excuse me. The applicant seeks special exception approval for Westside Commercial Lot 2. The existing use of the property is currently vacant until the development of the Westside subdivision begins. The proposed building size of the Wawa store is proposed to be 5,600 square feet, with a building maximum being for that site being 27,630 square feet. So they're proposing a 30% coverage, which is within regulations. The filling station and convenience store are located on the southeastern corner of the proposed Westside MXT development project. Once again, a traffic study has been conducted and submitted with the application. And the study concluded that based on the prior approvals of the project, the Wawa gas station complex will not have any negative effects on traffic, access, or circulation. A total of 52 parking spaces have been provided in the application, and the gas station complex use is required to have at least 35 per the ULDC. With 35 standard spaces, 14 compact spaces, 1 ADA space, and 2 van accessible spaces. And the applicant is also proposing 29% landscaping per the application, with a substitution, 2-to-1 substitution for trees and a 10-to-1 substitution for shrubs. Staff recommends that the City of Laurel Planning Commission recommend approval to the City of Laurel Board of Appeals for special exception application number 920 with the following conditions. Condition number 1 being that the applicant shall obtain all required City of Laurel permits from the Department of Fire Marshal and Permit Services. Number 2, the applicant shall comply with the comments from the PG County Health Department as stated in the technical staff report. Number 3, the applicant shall comply with the comments from the City of Laurel Department of Public Works as stated in the technical staff report. Number 4, a traffic signal must be installed at the intersection of Westside Boulevard and Van Dusen Road, and the signal installation must be completed, and the signal must be operational prior to the issuance of a City of Laurel use and occupancy permit for the site. And lastly, the applicant shall comply with all applicable local, state, and federal laws and regulations in the development of the property. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on this application?
Hi, I just have a question. My name is Deborah again, who lives at 14200 Westside Boulevard. When will we be able to get another update about the construction or, whether this vote passes or anything like that? Do you know when we'll get another update after this hearing is over?
Ma'am, I would ask Mr. Esherick to respond to your question, please.
Hi, Blake Esherick, representing Strip Matter Land and Westside Holdings again. We expect to start construction immediately upon receiving all these approvals tonight and later this month, and the remaining permits that we need for the site. I expect that we'll actually be under construction for these two lots of retail sometime in March. And it will take at least a year for the Wawa to open.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion to recommend approval.
Mr. Chairman, Bill Welford. I'll move to approve the special exception application number 920 for Wawa at 14910 Silver Trail Lane, filed by Westside Land Holdings LLC for recommendation to the City of Laurel Board of Appeals.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Welford. A second, please.
I'll second. It's Rick Wilson.
Thank you, Rick. I mean, Mr. Wilson. Ms. Quillen, please call the roll.
Mr. Welford,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Bonner,
Yes.
Mr. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Kish.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Quillen. If there are no other questions or anything, I'll thank everybody for being here tonight. Have a warm evening, and it is now 6:51, and I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
all.
Kish.
Thank you all very much.
Night.
Good night.
Recording stopped.
Good night.